Okay, so let's go. Uh, this session is going to be a tiny bit different from other sessions that you've had in the past. जैसे marketing था, sales था. All of these things, finance, all of these things are, subjects you hear in your college, in your school as well before coming to college. But corporate law is something जिसको हमेशा ऐसा top shelf में रखा जाता है क्या? This is something that adults do, right? So today we are going to just introduce this corporate law का topic in your life. कुछ basic fundamentals देखेंगे, कुछ प्यारी प्यारी बातें करेंगे, and then that would be it. So yes, just want to ask this very simple, very basic question. How many of you have ever clicked I agree on terms and conditions without reading them? I'm assuming most of you have, but I can only see Anshika, Monish, and Riddhima. Okay, people are raising their hands. Cool. So yeah, this is a common thing that we all do. There's nothing to be ashamed of. It's not wrong, and it's well, in some cases it can be a little devastating, but for most part it's fine. Uh, okay. What would you do if someone stole your YouTube video or your business name or your business idea for that matter? You guys can unmute yourself and answer. Like, I'll take a few answers. Monish, give it a try.
Yeah, can you repeat the question? What's that?
The question, it's on your screen as well. What would you do if someone stole your YouTube video idea or your business name? तू एक धंधा स्टार्ट करने वाला है एंड उसका नाम किसी ने ले
Yeah, I
लिया.
understand. I actually don't have any idea on it,
Okay.
but what I would
Uh,
do immediately is maybe change of plans in the last moment, like that change of plans, or maybe copyrights like that. If it's already copyrighted, you can copyright it with
but
that.
तो अभी तो it's only idea, no? How can you have a
Uh,
copyright? You
yeah,
would
but you said
basically confront
but
him,
you said
I guess.
business name, right? No, I thought you mentioned business name, so that's why I thought to copyright.
Right. Right. So ideally, that's what you should do is you go to that person and you tell them that, hey, that's fine. But that doesn't work in the real world because there's too much of data to just, sit there and monitor कि अच्छा मोनिश का idea था ये. And hence, corporate law is something that is introduced in our lives in order to run companies in a smooth manner, in a legal way. And that's what majorly corporate law is. So some simple rules for the session. I did this last time and I had your videos on, but इस बार थोड़ा लग रहा है यार पता नहीं. I don't like this. Keep your videos on. Raise your hand when you want to speak and engage in the chat box and in general just go bonkers. मतलब मजे करो. So yeah, let's see up tak how much do you know about corporate law. There's a link in the chat box which is just a quick quiz to get you guys, charged up again. Uh, let's see how you guys do. Palak, Pranav, Rohil, Shanaya, Shrishti, Darsh. Let's go, let's go, let's go. We need more. We have 18 participants, me and Shivangi excluded. We still have 17, 18. Cool. There are two, three people who haven't joined, but I believe you would be in a minute or so. Cool. I think we can start. No worries. What is the primary purpose of corporate law? To enforce taxes on business, to regulate how businesses are formed and operate, to manage employee behavior, and to control prices of the products. Hey, congratulations, Jia Darsh. You were the fastest fingers. The answer is to regulate how businesses are formed and operated. Basically, what we just talked about earlier, okay, corporate law is just the way of the world to run businesses in a smooth and a legal way. Let's go to the next one. In corporate law, corporate veil refers to a law requiring corporations to wear protective masks, a specific type of insurance for directors, the process of merging two companies, the separation of corporation identity from its shareholders. Pranavangia. Okay, the answer is the separation of corporation's identity from its shareholders. It's not very intuitive, I know, but this is something you get to hear as soon as you join a particular law course. So yeah. Uh, which of the following is a key document a corporate lawyer might draft during the creation of a corporation? The bylaws, the partnership agreements, the articles of incorporation, financial projections. Kimya is taking a lead, and the answer is partnership agreements. Well, it's which of the following is not a primary role of a corporate law? Governing at the formation and the structure of operations, regulating the rights and duties of shareholders, directors, and officers, overseeing criminal cases unrelated to corporate activity, ensuring compliance with business regulations, and protecting stakeholders. Okay, Kimia is on the lead again. The correct answer is overseeing criminal cases, because there are two types of laws, which is corporate law and criminal law. Criminal law takes care of all the criminal part of like crimes and stuff, and corporate law is basically for corporates. Do we have a next one? Okay. In corporate law, insider trading refers to trading stocks with international corporations, employees buying stocks for personal gain using confidential information, companies buying back their own stocks, and a form of public stock exchange regulation. Pranav, I think. I couldn't see the screen. But yeah, the answer is employees buying stocks for personal gain using confidential information. Any of you who may have seen Scam 1992 would get this reference of what insider trading is. So yeah, that was a quick quiz, and यार अभी भी अगर तुम्हारे videos on नहीं है तो you guys, we should just hold this session for 5 minutes. You should go have a coffee and then we can continue back.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. If anyone's feeling sleepy, they can just quickly go and splash some water on their face and come back.
Genuinely, guys, this is sad. I mean,
We can play
come
a
on, I
small
need you.
game. Anshika, since you're the first one to have your video on, I would like you to call out someone to switch on their video, and then they can call out someone to switch on their video.
Oh, chain reaction.
Anshika, why don't you tag someone to switch on their video?
Or you can unmute and just give a shout out. That works too.
I would like to
I think there's a network issue from your end.
Uh,
Great, we got a couple of videos on. Kimaya, why don't you call out someone to switch on their video who doesn't have the video on? Monish, Srishti Ved. Come on, guys, let's have some videos on. Thank you, Monish. Thank you,
Thank you
Srishti.
so much.
Monish, Srishti, now the chance is yours. Why don't you ask someone to switch on their video? You can just unmute and call out their name. All right, Aman, back to you.
Cool. Yes. Let me just share my screen again. Share sound. Okay. So that was a quick quiz. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. Moving on to the next thing. Yes. So exploring a career in corporate law. बेसिक बात ये है कि corporate law involves a lot of advising businesses कि this is how, even though you think this way might be legal, it's not, and hence for the best of our company, you need to take matters in this way, in the legal matters. It involves a lot of paperwork as well, which is compliance, contracts, mergers, and acquisitions. You are the one who's drafting all of them. So it ensures that companies operate within the legal boundaries by mitigating the risk and facilitating smooth business operations. Is mota mota what corporate law is. So what does a corporate lawyer do? क्या करते हैं वो लोग? Like I said, a lot of paperwork, which is drafting and reviewing contracts, providing legal counsel on business transactions, and aiding in mergers and acquisitions, representing companies in legal matters. You also sometimes advise the company कि अगर इस तरीके से shareholders अपनी equity split करेंगे तो better रहेगा for tax purposes or whatever. But yeah, that's what majorly lawyers do. The education qualification which is required is that after 12th you can take in any discipline, you need to have like 50% and above. And then clear the entrance exam to get in law college and pursue a 5-year integrated program, which is BA LLB, that you may have heard already. BBA LLB, BSc LLB. If you're already pursuing a bachelor's degree in any discipline other than law, then you need to clear the entrance exam and pursue a 3-year LLB program. So that's also something you can do, and candidates can also pursue master's degree to further advance their career, which is must know. Okay. So this is what a career trajectory of a corporate lawyer looks like. जब तुम freshly start करते हो, just like in most of the fields, you are usually an associate or an assistant of a particular person in that particular legal department. As you gain experience, you come to the mid-level position. Now you are the person who is basically giving some advice to the company, still suggestions and everything, right? And then in the senior level positions, people usually take up positions as partners at law firms or general counsels at corporations. So how many Suits fan do we have? Suits देखे किसी ने? हार्वी स्पेक्टर. Okay, 2 people, but I must say that for this age, मेरे को zero response लगा था, क्योंकि it's something that you may not be able to understand at this age. So yeah, Suits में, if the people who have seen it, if you know, the firm was called Pearson Hardman before. And then eventually Harvey Specter joined in as a partner, and the firm was later called Pearson Specter. Right. So this is that basically वो उसका नाम क्या था? मॉस या रॉस क्या था? The main lead.
Mike
It's
Ross.
been a while. Mike Ross, yes. Mike Ross is the ideal journey. Entry level position, some sort of a assistant with Harvey Specter. Then you are someone who has some sort of responsibilities for the direct client, and then Harvey Specter is the senior level position. So yeah.
I think Pranav is saying not idle. Because he's technically
Not idle,
thin.
not idle.
Yeah.
हरकतों से not idle, but okay. How much do you think corporate lawyers end up earning? This is a common question that people ask. Yeah, do all lawyers earn good? Well, to answer your question, yes, some do, but then it's just like any other career trajectory. So these are the two examples. Cyril Shroff was a managing partner at Amarchand Mangaldas, and his earning, this is something top of the notch. Okay? His earning was approx 20 crores per annum. And we also have Zia Modi, who was the partner at AZB and Partners, and her approximate earning per annum was 25 CR. So this is the extent that you can go to as a lawyer, but of course you'll have to start small. So let's discuss a very interesting case today. कि मैं और मोनिश एक ही क्लास में हैं and Monish wrote a very beautiful essay. And Monish discussed it with me before submitting it. Yeah, on the day of results, teacher आती है and she says that मतलब अमान का जो essay था वो इतना बढ़िया था. And on the other hand, she told Monish, just because उसका roll number में से नीचे आता है कि यार Monish, you basically copied Aman's essay, and for that you are being graded lower and you are warned कि तुम आगे से कभी ऐसे किसी का ऐसे कॉपी नहीं करोगे. Has this ever happened to you? Happened with me once. कि कोई तुम्हारा असाइनमेंट कोई तुम्हारा कुछ कॉपी कर लेता है एंड देन व्हाट हैपेंस इज दैट यू आर द वन जिसको बोला जाता है कि यार मतलब तुमने कॉपी क्यों करा है. So yeah, this is something that actually happens in the business world, and the Airtel jingle which says that जो तेरा है वो मेरा और जो मेरा है वो तेरा, which is what is yours is mine is and what's mine is yours, is not necessarily true in the business world. Like you cannot just do that, bro. Stop. So when you went through your friend's essay, you realized that मतलब, when Monish went through my essay, he realized that I had changed a few things. मतलब कहीं पे किसी लड़की का नाम change कर दिया था, and but the main concept and the context was largely copied. So how would you feel in this situation, and what would your response to be to the matter? Do
I
we
think
have any?
let's ask Monish only since he's in this
हाँ
situation.
भाई मोनिश तू ही बता दे भाई. मैंने तेरा ऐसे कॉपी कर लिया. Now let's say.
Sure, if as a friend, I would just
Beat me
I'd
up.
actually beat you up, but I actually don't mind as a friend. But in the business world, I actually don't know how it happens. Maybe
Mhm.
maybe there might be something. I don't know. I'm not sure. The business
But
world.
so if you hi Ridhima,
I
you want to say something?
suppose you can try like talk to them, but unless I mean, I'm guessing if they copied your essay, they're not nice enough to confess. So I feel like unless you have solid proof that you came up with it first, there's not much you can do really.
Crazy. So this is what I was about to say. Okay, Monish, if you had a sort of chance to somehow safeguard your essay, would you do that? कि यार ये essay जो है ये मेरा है,
Sure,
ठीक है?
why not?
And you have all your sort of legal proofs. Hi Pranav, long time no see.
Yeah, hi. So in the case of an essay, you can always have a watermark on it saying "do not copy" on the background of the essay. So I mean, it's not easy for them to copy, but in a business position, if they copied a project or something, I'm pretty sure like they assign you stuff, so it's yours. Like I mean, if it's a team effort as well, I mean, it's not much really what you can do because it's a collaboration between people, right? So it's like it's hearsay. I mean, everyone can claim they did something about it, and it's hard to prove that. But yeah, if there is some kind of proof saying, see in Google Documents, it's always saying like Pranav did this or Aman did this, and it kind of gives you history of whatever people did. That's basic proof. But other than that, I don't think it's hard to like showcase your
Uh,
work. I mean, if it's a
भाई बट I don't know which school you went to, but मेरे स्कूल में तो भाई पेपर पे लिख के देते थे हम लोग. It wasn't a document in general. So yeah, if it's a online document, sure, why not a watermark or whatever? But I think won't work in your school life is what the context was. So okay, this is what so Monish ने जो ऐसे लिखा था was his intellectual property. Now, what do you mean by an intellectual property? So in general terms, intellectual property, or IP as we call it, refers to the creation of a human mind, exclusive to a single person. So I sing sometimes, and let's say if I wrote a song, if I compose something, that is the creation of my human mind, and so hence this particular song is my IP. These creations are again prone to people like me who can basically copy it the way I did to Monish, right? And this copying is called plagiarism, right? And hence there's a concept of intellectual property rights, which is to safeguard them against unauthorized productions, distributions, or display. Correct. So now there are three major kinds of intellectual properties, and we'll go through them just once, and we'll cover this topic. So do you know what these three types of intellectual property rights are, and what are the differences between them? I'll give you a try, and then we can discuss it further. I want new participations, Pranav. I love you, but I want more people to speak.
I think Rohil was saying something about patents in the chat box. Rohil, why don't you give it a
Oh,
shot?
where is my chat box? Okay. Yeah, patents. Well, you want to give it a try, or Atharva?
Yeah, hi, can I just try?
Yeah, sure.
Sure. So trademarks are like, say, on company names or taglines, you could say, that identify a particular company. So say if I have a trademark on Coca-Cola, whereas copyrights is for, like, say, artistic works, like say a movie or a photograph or something like that. Then patents are for ideas or, like, inventions that I make. Like say if I create something new, so I can put a patent on that to ensure that people cannot, copy my design for at least a set period of time. I think so. That's my opinion. You could say.
Perfect. Nahi, it was true. It was very true. So uh, let me just give proper definitions to those. So patents are for innovators. Let's say I create a sort of pill that if you take it, you still feel cold in Gurgaon at this particular point of time where it's like what 45 degrees outside. That's my invention or discovery, or no, discoveries don't have patents, but yeah, that's my invention. And it's my innovation. It's my idea original. Nobody on earth has ever had this before. So I create a patent for that. Uh, Copyrights, like he rightly said, is for things like lyrics, things like documents, things like researches, right? This particular research is done by me. Whilst trademarks are for your brand elements, like for example, your logo, for example, your jingle, things like that. This particular brand element, this particular logo belongs to this particular company, this particular business, is what trademarks are. So yeah, Athar, you were completely right, and kudos to you for that. We'll discuss one interesting case. Do you know about this? Taylor Swift being sued in 2017. I was in seventh. Yeah. So in 2017, songwriters Sean Hall and Nathan Butler sued Taylor Swift कि Shake It Off करके एक song निकाला था Taylor Swift ने, and they infringed on the lyrics. So the song, if I remember correctly, there were lines like players gonna play, haters gonna hate, which still is played in a lot of parties. So in 2001, Sean Hall and Nathan Butler had this song called "Players Gonna Play," and they claimed that Taylor Swift used these phrases, which were technically ours. So if you were in her position, Taylor Swift, or Taylor Swift's lawyer, how would you defend yourself? What do you think? And by the way, she won the case. So how do you think she may have, tackled this situation? Quick responses. I also have my chat open.
I hope people are not going to ChatGPT and asking what they would do.
Okay. We'll take Riddhima.
I'm not sure. I just have a guess because you could say that technically a phrase like player's gonna play, it's a common phrase. It's used in many situations, so you can't just own a phrase. Maybe some.
Hmm. And Atharvi, just give one try and we'll go ahead.
Maybe that line was not exactly copyrighted by the original songwriters. So
Hmm.
that could have been a technicality which could have been addressed.
Okay, so one we have that, bro, it's not something that you can have copyrights on. Player's gonna play, haters gonna hate is just using ands and buts in your sentences. On the other hand, Athar says that probably they might have never done the licensing or anything like that before. So well, Ridhima, you are right. Taylor Swift, what she did was she claimed that these phrases are very common sayings, right? And it's unfair for these people to, confiscate that these sentences are ours. So the court ruled that the lyrics in question were not original and could be used by anyone without infringing on the rights and the original creators. And that's how Taylor Swift just shook it off. We have another interesting case study, but I want you to guess the name for this one. So, this popular coffee shop didn't actually serve coffee or any other beverages at their original location. Do we know what are we talking about? You can answer in the chat. I'll have it open one second. Pranav guessed it already, so I think we should not delay. It's Starbucks. Uh, so an interesting thing happened with Starbucks, and this is related to trademarks. Okay. So Sardar Baksh Coffee and Co. started operating in 2015 with a very similar logo to Starbucks. I mean, I don't get the resemblance though. Like it's a man with turban and there's a mermaid, but okay. Starbucks claimed that this is a very similar logo and it would confuse our consumers and demanded Sardar Baksh to change its logo. सरदार बख्श ने रिफ्यूज करा कि यार दिस इज नॉट फेयर आई मीन it's not very similar like I said, and then Starbucks had to file a lawsuit against them in Delhi High Court. So can you guess what happened in this one? Pranav, let's go.
I mean, it's not really a guess because I know what happened, but so in the so I guess Starbucks won. Oh, sorry, no, the wait, wasn't it in Pakistan? It was one in Pakistan as well. Okay, well, I guess it
So
was.
searching aloud is what I can ask for.
I remember it being in Pakistan, and so the Pakistan thing won, and just because the face of the logo was like original, and it was the original owner's like face, and the name is completely different, so that's why they won. And Starbucks later stated that it would never enter the country because of this lawsuit. That's what I know.
Okay.
I didn't know it was in. I don't think it was in Delhi High Court.
Hmm. Well, you're absolutely wrong.
Okay.
They lost the case basically.
Wait.
Uh, so probably the Pakistan thing must have happened the way you anecdoted it.
Yeah.
But Sardar Baksh basically lost the case because Starbucks could prove that it's a very similar logo. And then they had to change the name and the logo. A few
This
follow-up
was
questions.
completely the opposite. The one happened in Pakistan. Like if you look at
Exactly.
it, it's the complete opposite. Yeah.
But yeah, do text me the name of the company if
It's the
you can.
same thing. It's Satarbak. Like it's the same. Like that's why I typed it in the like chat differently as well. It's the same thing. Yeah.
Sattar Baksh.
Yeah.
So a few follow-up questions here. Do you guys think the outcome would have been different if Starbucks had not registered its trademark in India? Yes, no, हाँ ना, नहीं पता. Hi Ridhima.
Should I answer?
Sorry?
Can I answer?
Yeah, sure. That's why I said hi
Yeah,
Ridhima.
if they hadn't registered the trademark, then technically the logo wouldn't have been there. So technically they would not have that claim कि उन्होंने हमारा चुराया है. They just took something that was there because no one had claimed it.
ठीक है. Dash, what do you have to say? Is it the same?
Yes, and if they didn't have a registered trademark in India, anyone could have copied them, and they couldn't do anything about it.
Fair. So you guys are right. The situation would have been completely different अगर Starbucks का कोई इंडिया में ट्रेडमार्क ही नहीं होता. There's a story which I wanted to share. यहाँ की MU की. So my roommate, I won't take any brand names or my roommate's name, but he started a chocolate brand which is apparently very famous in Dubai, and he made a rip-off of it in India. Even if you have guessed the company, don't speak it out. And he basically, as of now, if you go and search for that particular chocolate in India, the website that comes first is his website. And the original company cannot do anything about it because they don't have a trademark in India. And so this guy is basically earning good. Because apparently a lot of people in India think that this is the original Dubai brand coming to India. And the original brand cannot do anything about it. Bad example, never do that. You might get into serious lawsuits, but it works sometimes. So, would the case be a trademark issue even if Sardar Baksh offered some other products or services instead of being a coffee brand like Starbucks? Is it still an issue if I am selling, let's say, bottles, or what do I have around? Cubes, plants, and have the name of Starbucks? Yes, Dash.
I don't think that would be the case if they were selling something else, because it would be a different category.
Okay, Athar.
Yeah, I would agree with him. I think so. If they're selling something else in a whole different sector, then it wouldn't be a problem because Starbucks' trademark would only be for the coffee sector, you could say.
Suyash.
Well, I still think that even if they were in a completely different sector, it would still be a very serious problem because the customers generally associate the brand with their logo. So that would be a problem still.
Okay, Ridhima.
I feel like if it was a different sector, then Starbucks may not want to take the problem forward because they may not care. But if they did care and if they did take the problem to court, then I still think they would have won because they still have a trademark over the logo and their identity.
So, mix of answers we have. See, the thing is that when I start a brand, let's say it's called Aman and Co, whatever. So people start associating my face, my logo, my fonts to me, as in my business. Now, if someone else, let's say Ridhima or Suyash, goes outside and starts, say, an underwear brand under my name. I was the one selling, I don't know, give me something good. I was the one selling, say, bottles again. Milton, I was. Right. And Suyash goes outside and starts an underwear brand. You are diluting my brand personality. Get it? People still think that, okay, this Aman fellow is going and making underwears now. And they would think they would think all sorts of things about my company. And so it's still a problem. Even if Sardar Baksh had copied the logo and started anything else than coffee, say probably medicines. I don't know if that works the way, but if they started medicines, it would still be a problem because they're using the same logo and people associate that logo with Starbucks. So, yes, it's still a problem if you are into any other sectors, but you have copied my logo. So, yeah, that was a very different answer you may have expected from. Okay, so you guys did an Amway simulation. I'll come to that in a bit, but congratulations to Ayush, Kimya, and Darsh. You guys did absolutely well in that simulation. I just gave it before this test drive, and I was sort of miserable there. So congratulations to you guys. Since you guys did this, I want to ask a few questions. What were the charges filed against Amway? Can someone explain it to me? Dash, oh, we have one of the guys from Leaderboard.
Yeah, so Amway built a pyramid scheme in which they were using the money from the sales, and there was no actually profits for the people who joined. They were just earning profits of the people who they sold the membership.
Hmm. Mm-hmm. Anything else? Was that the only charge?
No, there were multiple. I can only remember one.
Okay. So let me just summarize it for you. They had a pyramid scheme. जिसमें what you do is that I am a seller. Darsh buys my products, so Darsh becomes a seller as well. And then his job is to further sell it ahead. The problem here was that the prices were so hiked and everything. They also had a lot of financial frauds in the way, and they paid less commissions to the people who were their distributors. It was basically a sort of pyramid fraud, what Dash said, along with some financial frauds that they did. The CEO, William, had to be arrested. And the funny part is they majorly earned from these distributors who bought their products to become a distributor. और कोई actual customer ले नहीं रहा था उनके पास से. So yeah, it was a very interesting case. How was your experience in defending Amway against the charges filed by the government? Let's ask these people. Arush, are you here in the meeting? Okay. Kimaya, am I pronouncing your name right though? Hello.
I
Hi,
think
Dash.
it's Kimaya, if I'm not wrong.
Kimaya. Oh, my bad. Kimaya. I think Dash is the only one active here. Let's go, bhai, Dash, once again. Dash, hello. Sorry, I was out for 2 minutes. So, Kimaya, do you want to speak? You can.
I'm not sure what's happening right now.
Oh, we were discussing the Amway case that you guys just did a few days
Yeah.
back, and your name was in the leaderboard. So I wanted to ask your experience. I mean, how was the experience in defending Amway against the charges filed by the government?
It was nice, only I had to like look up a few terms because I didn't know exactly what they meant. So it was
Mm-hmm.
a challenge, I think. And I wanted to do it a second time as well so I could see how much I could get it right because I got a few things wrong the first time. So it
Mm-hmm.
was nice learning about new things.
Okay. And did you win the case?
Yeah, I think I did. No, wait, I'm not sure how it ends actually. I forgot. Sorry.
Yeah. It's fine, no worries. So, in the interest of time, we'll just move ahead with with today's simulation. I want you guys to guess what the company is. So, it has the world's largest training centers at Mysore. Do we have an idea about the company?
Well, I guess you were right, Aman. I thought the hint was quite easy, but
मैंने कल ही बोला था नहीं कर पाएंगे guess. मैं नहीं कर पाया था ये.
oops. Oh, I have
Anyway.
Palak in my team. Palak guessed it. Palak, did you
Anyways,
chat GPT it or did you know it yourself?
No, my dad worked there previously.
Oh. Oh, maybe
Okay.
then that's the connection. I also knew about it because my sister used to work at Infosys.
So, yeah, the company we are talking today about is Infosys. And we'll just start the simulation. Yeah, let's go. I was able to see my screen still?
Yes.
Okay. We'll start over. Okay, so you are one of the topmost corporate lawyers in the country. Say you are Harvey Specter. Infosys is one of the largest tech service providers in India and has approached you to fight a case for them. Now let's look at what the case is. So Infosys is an Indian multinational information technology company that provides business consulting and technology services to different companies globally. We know what Infosys is. A team of 5-6 Infosys employees work closely with clients to design tech solutions like software, computer programs, etc. 1 second, let me just pause this video for. Yeah. So Infosys versus IT union. An IT union filed complaint with the Labor Ministry against Infosys, seeking the removal of the non-complete clause, which we'll get to. Okay, this is what you have to do. So, do you know what NCC is? Not National Credit Corps, but non-compete clause. Yes. Athar.
So say if I'm working in firm A, so
Hmm.
firm A has this non-compete clause, which means that after I leave firm A, for a set period of time, I cannot work in that same industry with any other firm. This is to, kind of discourage people from leaving, you could say, and also to avoid like secrets being, like transmitted via different companies in the same sector.
Sort of true. Uh, the essence of it is that, for example, let's say you are a chef at a particular restaurant. You cannot just copy their recipes of that particular original restaurant and go start your own restaurant or give it to some other restaurant. That's what not compete clause is. So, but well explained, Athar. And we'll watch a short video about it.
This video is brought to you
Are you able to hear the sound?
by Legality.
Yes, Aman, we can.
Legal information to teach yourself. It's a jungle out there. Employment agreements and your rights. Have you ever been in a situation where your company or a company that wants to hire you asks that you sign an employment agreement? And in that agreement, there are provisions restricting what you can do after you leave the company. Not sure what to do? Well, this is not uncommon, and with increasing frequency, employers are requiring its employees to sign what are known as non-compete employment agreements. How do these agreements work? After you leave the company, these can restrict where you work and who you work for. Additionally, these agreements frequently include non-solicitation provisions, which restrict your ability to contact clients of the company and former colleagues. Oftentimes, you will be forced to sign these agreements if you want to continue working for your company, or if you are offered a job with a new company. Depending on what state you work in, generally, these types of agreements are enforceable, so long as they are reasonable as to geographic scope, duration, and are reasonably designed to protect the company's legitimate business interests. So what should you do if you are handed an employment agreement with non-compete provisions? It's a good idea to have an attorney review the document to determine if the agreement is reasonable and provide guidance on how to proceed. Why? Because these agreements are complicated and can severely limit your employment opportunities in the future. Your current or potential employer drafts these agreements to protect their interests.
Okay. So well, this was the video, but more or less, if you just want me to summarize it again, I'll use the same example. You are a chef at a restaurant, non-compete clause tells you, okay, bhai, you cannot take my recipes and go start your own restaurant, or probably go and give my recipes to some other restaurant which is already my competitor. There's also something called as NSC, non-solicitation clause. So when I'm about to do an internship in Tata Power, and they made me sign this NSC that which states that I technically cannot go and approach the networks of Tata Power for my personal reasons. So, for example, if I want someone of that particular position in Tata Power to invest in my company, I cannot go and do that. I cannot do anything of my personal interest within the company. And the worst part is that this is also true after you leave the company. Even after you leave the company, you cannot go and approach those clients, those networks, because according to them, these networks and these clients associate you with Tata Power, and hence you cannot go and approach them for your own personal reasons. Which, to be honest, मुझे बहुत गंदा लगा कि यार, then what's the meaning if I don't get networks? But yeah, that's how we have to go forward with it. So yeah, that was NCC. This is your first question on the screen. Let me just, okay. The first charge against Infosys is that the non-compete clause restricts employees of Infosys to leave and work at competitor companies. How would you justify that it is correct to stop an employee from working at the preferred company? Okay, I can see the poll. Shivangi, I'm not able to see what the response is.
So I think option 2 is at 60% right now.
Option 2 is at 60%.
Correct. I think let's give it 5 more. Oops.
Sorry. Okay. This clause basically protects the confidential information that employees might leak if they join the company. Same chef recipe example. The non-compete clause prevents sensitive business information from getting leaked to the competitors. It also helps the companies to safeguard the personal information and details of the customers. Yeah, I mean, I would not want my lead list to be leaked in the market. So the second charge states that Infosys is stopping ex-employees from working with clients. What would be your argument against this charge? This is a personal question. Okay. Shivang, you'll again have to tell me because I don't know. I'm not able to see the
No
results for some
worries.
reason.
So option 1 at 25%, 3 at 75. Let's give it 5 more seconds.
Okay, cool.
And just waiting for a few more people to vote. But I think the clear winner here is option 3.
Option 3. Either you guys are really smart or really fast on ChatGPT. In the absence of the clause, the client would just directly hire the Infosys employees working on the project. As discussed earlier, Infosys deploys its team to work in a close association with the clients. Thus, in the absence of the clause, the clients would easily ask the teams to leave Infosys and work directly for them. In such scenarios, Infosys would become just a training center where employees will learn and leave as soon as they get other better offers. So yeah, that's why. Even after all your efforts, the court has refused to accept this clause. Yeah. So the court has now uh, denied accepting the clause, but has given you a chance to present a counter proposition that might help you to prevent the employees from leaving Infosys. What would be your alternate proposal?
I'm surprised a lot of people are choosing option 2.
To ask employees to work for 3 months without pay before leaving. Why?
Aman, are you ready to work for 3 months without pay?
No. Acha, apart from everything, when you would come to college, you would probably be looking for internships and stuff. Never work for free. That's what I have learned. Never work for free. So yeah, do we go with option number 2?
So there's a tie between option 2 and 4 right now. I'll just wait for one more. But yeah, let's go with option 2 since that was the.
Okay, cool. So yeah, the correct answer would be to ask the employees for a one-time monetary penalty because they. Okay. So asking the employees to find an alternative employee, work without pay or leave their own country is sort of illogical and unethical, and wouldn't be approved by the court or by the person working. So the only viable option would be that the employee should be asked for a penalty if they wish to leave the organization within the contract period. The monetary penalty can be justified as Infosys has invested in the training of these employees and everything. So, भूल गया उसे क्या कहते थे, but we'll do it afterwards. Assuming it takes 1 year for a new hire to achieve the same productivity as the old employee, how would you quantify the penalties that the employee should pay Infosys when he or she leaves?
So 33% are saying, oh wait, the numbers just changed.
Fine.
Majority is going with option 2, but let's, I think, give it 5 more seconds. Yeah, it's a clear winner. So option 2 it is.
Option 2 it is amount spent on training the new employee. मैंने don't worry, when I did the quiz first, I also went for the second option. So the expected profits plus the amount spent on training the new employee. It takes 1 year for the new hire to achieve the same productivity as the old one. Thus, it is justified that the employee leaving the firm should pay for the amount spent on the training, training the new employee, sorry. And also the profits that Infosys was expecting from that particular employee in the next 1 year. Because you took that particular person with an expectation, KR. Infosys is happy as the court has accepted your counter proposition, but the employee union at Infosys wants to negotiate. What actions or negotiations would you want to do out of the court?
Just give me a second. I'm just launching the poll.
Okay, answer. I'll read it for you till then. So allow a certain percentage of people to leave. Beyond that, union has to pay. Case by case exemptions can be given if the employee takes prior permission before leaving. If Infosys matches the salary levels provided by the new company, then the employee cannot leave. The union will have to support the company in new hiring.
So of course, this one has mixed options, but option 2 has the maximum votes.
It's select all correct options. So tell me the second highest as well.
Second highest would be option 1.
Option 1. We got 600 points, but you can choose either of the options. Let's see why that is. So all 4 options are correct as they help Infosys in the following ways. If you go with the first one, Infosys will get the payment from the union even if more than the allowed number of employees wish to leave. If employees intimate Infosys in advance, then the company can find an alternative to then the company can find an alternative to the current employee sooner. If Infosys matches the salary offered by the competitor, then the employee would be bound to stay. And if you choose the fourth option, then it would make the union responsible for finding new employees for the company, and hence it would reduce the whole hiring pressure on the company. So congrats, you did it. You truly are the topmost lawyer. Cool. If you guys want to read more about it, I'll just share this link in the chat box. But yes, for now, let me just do it once. Cool. Yes, so we are back to our presentation. And this is the most awaited moment of the whole session. Shubha ma'am, do we have you?
Hi, yes. It's Subha
Hi.
actually, like morning.
Sorry, Subha.
That's all right.
So, Subha ma'am is a corporate lawyer and a global advisor. She has been an advisor at Black Flame and Cuban. Okay, sorry. She has also been an ex-associated at TLP Advisors. She was the ex-legal and compliance officer at Fiverr Chain. She was an ex-legal counsel at Polygon Technology, and she is a subject matter expert in terms of AI, Web3, crypto, and blockchain laws. So my first question to you, so when I got to go through your LinkedIn, I got to know that okay, you are a lawyer who deals in Web3 crypto. How is it different from the normal lawyers that we think of?
Good question. It's different in the sense that instead of working a defined career trajectory where you have a lot of clarity with, set laws, precedent that's being set, a lot of mentors in the field, you're basically thrown into a sea with a lot of waves with no clarity being
Okay.
thrown around left, right, and center. So essentially, you work in a space where there are not a lot of laws. Everything is very global, and you have to understand a lot of the technology that goes behind projects to understand how they should be dealt with from a legal perspective.
Mhm. Interesting. So, I'm assuming you must have a good idea of what cryptocurrencies and everything is. So I'll connect to you after the session. I have a lot of doubts.
I should be sacked if I cannot answer your questions around cryptocurrency.
Uh, okay, so what does it mean to work as a corporate lawyer? So, आपकी basically दिनचर्या बताओ. Like, what do you do?
So, in common parlance, I think people understand that there are just two types of lawyers. एक जो कोर्ट जाते हैं, एक जो corporate law करते हैं. That is not entirely true. There are a lot of different types of lawyers.
Mhm.
But for a simple understanding, I would say anybody who deals with anything related to companies, businesses, the white collar side of things, that is a corporate lawyer.
Mhm.
So there are a lot of different types of corporate lawyers. There are data protection lawyers, there are contract lawyers. So basically, if you're working with a business, you're classified as a corporate lawyer. Mera dincharya is a little different from traditional corporate lawyers, I would say. Since I work as an external legal counsel, I still work as an independent practitioner rather
Mhm.
than full time with one company. So it's a lot of just sitting in front of a screen and staring at it.
Mhm. Okay.
But I handle basically everything that my business requires. So it
Mhm.
is their contracts, their hiring needs. I was going through the questionnaire that was being presented, Abhi. So those are some of the things that we as corporates. I would basically be representing Infosys in those scenarios if I was a corporate lawyer with Infosys, and I would be trying to sabotage the union's attempts to reach to a settlement. But yeah, essentially, that's what a corporate lawyer does. You handle everything related to business strategy, corporate structuring. If it's a product that requires certain kind of licensing, then what kind of licensing are required? Of course, you can also have specialized lawyers, like one lawyer who's specializing in a license. But
Mhm.
usually, businesses like to have one resource that is sort of like on top of everything and can take a
Mhm.
surface level look at things. So we're basically like legal product managers.
Oh, that's a beautiful analogy to put it. Legal product managers.
That's what the role is evolving to now.
Okay. What was it before then? Like,
Um, See, traditionally you had companies that were working in a very traditional kind of environment. You have a local company that is set up in India, working a very straightforward business trajectory. Now with things getting more global, with businesses expanding, everybody wants to do 10 different things. So you have take a look at, let's say, the other Ambani's business. They want a hand in everything, right? So your business wants to do a little bit of everything, and you want to have somebody at the top who can, even if they don't have a deep understanding of a subject matter, you need somebody to take charge. So that's why we're now becoming more like legal product managers. In fact, I, especially as somebody who works with tech companies a lot, I advise a lot with product developments. I join businesses when they're developing the product. So we make sure that the product is being developed in a legally compliant way. So,
Okay.
you do a lot of that. There's a lot of mixing now that you're supposed to know. Okay, the product also has to go this way. And I might be a lawyer sitting in India, uh, associated with a business that is serving customers across the globe. So yes, I will
Mhm.
not have niche knowledge of what kind of laws are in the UK, but I should know enough that I can supervise their business there.
All
That's what
right.
the job is turning to now.
Makes sense. But interesting, yeah. I love the analogy again that you put. So, यार एक तो ये बहुत परेशान कर रहा है. What are the skill sets required to excel this field? And what are some transferable skills that this field teaches you? Like when you got into this particular field, what were the few things that you picked up along the way?
Mhm.
Whilst what were the things that you prepared for? Okay, this is what I would require in this field.
See, every hard skill you learn at law school,
Mm.
debatably, but let's say you've got an amazing curriculum that's teaching you everything related to academics. So you learn all the hard skills, you come prepared with that hard skills in mind, but all soft skills are what you learn on the job.
Okay.
So, how to communicate to a client, how to communicate with a fellow lawyer, with a client who has no understanding of the law versus how you would communicate to a fellow legal counsel or somebody in your team, presenting across your opinion, presenting across your findings, advising business strategy, how to deal with conflict. All of these things are something that you learn on the job when you pick the skills along the way. What you
Mhm.
require to excel in any field in law, number one, is hard work. So this is
Okay.
something that one of my first internships that I did, the senior advocate that I was working with, he said law is one of those fields where yes, you require smartness, you require wits, but there is a huge role that hard work plays here. So you need to work really, really, really hard. And as a
Mm.
corporate lawyer, you need to have an understanding of how the practical aspect of legalities work. So for example, there is a law or there is a license that I need in order to you know market my product in a particular area or a particular
Mm.
country. Now I can't simply one day wake up and ask my company to shut down their business in that jurisdiction, right, just because we don't have a license. So as a
Correct.
normal lawyer, I would just say ki, okay, yeah, this is not allowed here, you are operating in violation of the law. So as a corporate lawyer, it is my job to ensure that I'm also looking after the business needs. So maybe I
Correct.
factor in ki, okay, fine, this is what the cost of fine is. We'll pay the fine for first 6 months. We'll expedite the licensing process, or we'll find creative ways to go around it. So in this field, after hard work, the most important skill would be how to utilize legalities from a practical aspect, and how to
Okay.
marry them with the business trajectory, like how to make sure the business is going forward. Because at the end of the day, that's all that matters. You tell your client ki nahi, ye to nahi ho sakta, band kar do, they're gonna leave you and go to somebody else and do it anyway.
Okay. So I just wanted to introduce you to the
Mhm.
demographics that we have here.
Sure.
We have students from 8th to 12th, which is basically, and this is what we were discussing just prior to that conversation, was that topics like finance, topics like sales, topics like marketing are something that is touched upon in your early school life as well.
Mhm.
But law is something that is kept for grown-ups. Get it?
Ah.
So, and I am no different than them. I've just been introduced to the topic of corporate law in my first year. And what I found was that it is very subjective. It's very nuanced. Like every little detail may change the outcome. Or there is some sort of an act for a very small segment. So it's very subjective, is what I want to say. I don't have much better words. So is it like riding a bike that eventually after a point it becomes a part of your mindset? Okay. Or is it a forever evolving process that you have to keep learning on what the laws are?
So, I don't know if any of you have heard, but there's a very popular joke that a lawyer's favorite dialogue is "it depends."
Yeah.
So, No matter what you ask, the answer is always it depends. That's number one. Number two, yes, the law is always, always, always evolving. You
Hmm.
have to keep up with changes every day, especially the field that I work in, because, as I said, more than a traditional corporate lawyer, I work a lot with new age startups. So, to an extent where what we're doing today might just be completely illegal with vast penalties 2 weeks down the line. There have been times where, the situation has been different today, and then 2 weeks later situation is completely changed. So what a
Hmm.
good corporate lawyer or a good lawyer does is that you should have the foresight to see that this is where the winds are blowing, and this is where the general trajectory is, and this is where we should go ahead at. Baki, I think this is something that everybody would know, that there was a change in our legal codes. If you guys are all aware, we went from Indian Evidence Act and Indian Penal Code to BNN, Bharatiya. S- uh, s- it's a very complicated Hindi name. Please don't ask me to pronounce it. So essentially, our criminal codes have all been changed. There are
Okay.
now new criminal codes in place. It's BNS, BNNS, and they've been simplified. There are a lot of changes. So I'll give you a very simple example. When I was in law school, right, there was a lot of emphasis on memorizing sections. So when we would have vivas and my teachers would ask me, what is this section? What does it say? What is the what is the section for cheating? What does section 420 say? What is section 376? And I was somebody, I would just say, like, yeah, I can Google section 376 always. Ask me what it stands for. Ask me what it means. Ask me the essentials. But in fact, there were times where I was told that the devil is in the detail for the law. So now that
Right.
there is a change in the entire laws, so whoever memorized the old acts is essentially going to do nothing about it, right? So there's been, I guess there's even a shift in how law is being taught now. So law is an always, always, always evolving field. That's why you always read law. You read and practice law.
I did a very risky thing in my exam. Like there was a question asked and I did not remember what sort of act it belonged to, but I remember what the act was. So in the paper I wrote that I don't know what the act is, but here's what it means and here's why it is wrong. Apparently I got full marks for that, but
Great teacher.
yeah, she is a great teacher. So moving forward, what does a day in the life of a corporate lawyer looks like? We already covered this actually.
Yeah, I think we broadly did.
Yeah. So, what are the educational qualifications required to enter this field, and how do you know that you're a right fit for a lawyer?
So, as if you want to be a lawyer, like a normal lawyer, you need to, of course, get some kind of a legal degree that is recognized by the Bar Council of India. And if you want to practice in courts, then you want to have to hold a bar license. The state bar licenses, you can be admitted to practice in each state. And then there's the Bar Council of India, where you can get you clear the All India Bar examination and you get a national bar license. So that is, how a traditional lawyer works. Interestingly, in corporate law per se, because it's a private field, there's no legal requirement for you to hold any kind of license or hold any kind of a degree. So the court wants you to see, if you're representing somebody in court, then you need to hold a license, right, as a lawyer. But if I'm advising a company, the company may or may not want me to have a legal degree.
All
In
right, makes
fact,
sense.
I would say that the way that I work, the way that I've built my career, if tomorrow I got up and told my clients, hey, I actually don't have a legal degree, I'm actually an
They wouldn't-
unqualified lawyer, I dropped out midway, they'd just be like, okay, so what do we do about it? Continue working.
That's good. And there's this doubt that I always had. So I've watched a lot of movies and a lot of courtroom scenes. How is it even legal that, for example, if I don't have a lawyer, I can defend myself?
Yeah. See,
People can do that.
constitutional I mean, you have a constitutional right to represent yourself in court. That
Okay.
is a given. Hey, you are a free citizen of the country. If you don't want legal, a lawyer is not so contrary to what people think. A litigation lawyer or a lawyer who practices in court, they don't exist to defend you or prosecute you. A lawyer is an officer of the court. regardless of whether you're a prosecutor or a defendant, your job is to help the court understand all the facts and reach
Hmm.
the right decision. That's it. That's your job. So as a defender, of course, because you owe a duty of allegiance to your client and all that, you present facts in a particular way. But that is what you do as a lawyer. And if as a person you don't want to take the assistance of somebody, then up to you. Don't. In fact, a lot of people represent themselves in front of smaller courts and tribunals. Consumer court, it's very
Hmm.
popular to represent yourself.
Okay, makes sense. Uh, Moving forward to the next question, how do you think this role will evolve in the future? It is already very fast-paced and evolving. What does the career trajectory? I want to know your career trajectory. Like, where did you go from? What was the path?
Oh, my career trajectory is a very unusual one. I started working before, as I said, in this field, it doesn't really matter if you're actually a qualified lawyer. So I started working way before I graduated.
Hmm.
I started working with businesses, and Polygon is a very big blockchain company. It's a unicorn. Back in 2021, during lockdown, everything was shut.
Mm-hmm.
All legal internships were, defunct because everything was shut down. And there was this huge rise in startups at that time. I think the audience of this presentation is it's probably too young to remember. So essentially, during that time, there was a huge boom in startups because investors had a lot of money to throw around, and people were just sitting and coming up with ideas. So there was a lot of expansion that was going on at that time, and I came across a vacancy at Polygon for legal counsel, and the entire vacancy was just, this is who we are, and we're looking for somebody who can do all this. But the post did not mention any kind of prerequisite experience, any kind of qualifications, nothing. It literally said, we want somebody who can do all this. And I sent them an email and I said, hey, I can do all this. You didn't say you wanted a qualified lawyer. I'm a fourth year law student, but I can do all this. And I guess they were impressed enough to take me on board.
So it's true for law as well that you don't need a degree to perform.
See, if you're going in private practice, as I said, if you're actually representing yourself as a lawyer who wants to represent people in court, you definitely need a degree. You definitely need a license. But if you're
Hmm.
somebody who's working with private individuals, or even if, say, you tomorrow want some legal advice and you go to somebody who is not a lawyer, but you trust their judgment and you pay them also a fee, that's up to you. That's between you
That's
and them,
fine.
right? Yeah.
Correct.
Regardless of what degree they hold, whether or not they hold a degree or whether or not they have a qualification, it at the end of the day, obviously, it comes down to your aptitude and what you can pull off, right? What your
Hmm.
understanding is, how you're able to understand information. So that is what it comes down to, especially in the private sector. That's the beauty of working with new age startups, I would say. And with respect to this role evolving, I think we've already touched upon this previously.
Yeah.
Like the whole global. Now you're just expected to know everything, to be able to take charge of everything.
Hmm. Makes sense. So this is the question which I was waiting for कि ये कब आएगा. I wanted to discuss an interesting case that you have worked on and possibly some loopholes that you may have figured out during the case.
I think case would be the wrong word here because as I'm not a litigation lawyer, then I'm not handling cases per se. It would be maybe situations and problems that I have to deal with. So okay, I'll give you. Okay, so legally
I understand you
speaking,
cannot share all details, but
yes, that's why I'm going for the most surface level and like the most basic example. So from a legal perspective, penalties cannot be enforced. Okay,
Hmm.
usually courts all over the world, especially common law jurisdictions. So, quick brief, usually legal systems across the globe are divided into common law and civil law. So, wherever we had UK, ruling over the country, those countries now follow common law. Like India, we have a basic system that was derived from the UK system. So
Right.
usually common law countries especially, they don't like to impose penalty or penalty clauses. What is a penalty clause? For example, you and I agree we get into some kind of an agreement, like say sale of goods or provision of consultancy, whatever. And the agreement also says that if Subha does not deliver these pens by say 7th June, then Subha will pay me $10 million as a penalty. Okay, that is a penalty clause. Okay, so these kind of penalty clauses are not enforceable because the court always wants to enforce actual damages. कि भाई ये क्या मतलब होता है? You know, you can't just ask for $10 million just because of late delivery. So there was a case, there was a situation where one of my clients wanted they were agree they were sort of preparing a business arrangement of sorts. They were an incubator, and they wanted businesses to come incubate with them, and they wanted to discourage people from just signing up and then not following through with the program. Okay, so they wanted to include some kind of a penalty that if you didn't follow through with the program, then you would have to pay X amount as a penalty. Now this clause would be unenforceable because penalty clauses are unenforceable, right? So this is something that even my superiors they were like, okay, how do we go about it? Should we just tell the client that this is not possible, or should we just include it in the agreement and tell them that you can get them to sign them, but this won't be enforceable? However, I then came up with this idea. It's a very simple solution. So instead of calling it a penalty, we called it a fee that was payable at the end of the course or at the end of the the incubation program, with the provision that the incubator can waive it off at its discretion. So essentially speaking, if the programmer is, or if the the person is sitting through the entire incubation program, then the company would just waive it off. Otherwise,
Okay.
contractually, it's a fee. So now, if tomorrow, even if it's not paid, and if it needs to be enforced, it will be enforced as a fee payment clause rather than a penalty clause.
Okay, makes sense. So it was a penalty, but in some
Yes. Yes,
other.
we called it a fee, and we hoped that the judge would be fooled by the wolf in grandma's clothes.
And did it work?
Very few of these cases go in court. The client was happy, so I don't know.
Okay,
Maybe 10 years down the line, if it ever goes to court, I'll let you know. I'll get back to all of you.
perfect. Cool. So, again, what is the one thing you like about this field, and one thing you dislike about it?
The one thing I really like about this field, that your smartness is valued a lot. So if you can pick out
Okay.
loopholes like this, I think I'll give you another example. This is not something that I have dealt with, but this is one of my favorite legal loopholes. Kit Kat, everybody's familiar with Kit Kat. It's a chocolate, right? So when it comes to taxation, each thing is taxed in a separate way. I think everybody would be familiar with that caramel popcorny thing. It classifies as a sweet good, so it's taxed in a particular way. So chocolates are taxed at a particular slab. Okay, wafers and biscuits are taxed at a different slab. So some
Hmm.
taxation attorney who made KitKat's taxation policy, they classify themselves as a wafer
That's big.
biscuit and not a chocolate to escape that taxation burden.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say in this field, especially, you do get to have a scope of coming up with these kind of problem solving skills, and more than your pure legal understanding, these kind of problem solving, client managing, and business strategy, like a business alignment acumen, is more valued than it is in other fields of law. That is my favorite part of this field. One thing that I really dislike here is that the work can sometimes get very monotonous. You can feel like you're just doing the same kind of things over and over again, especially when it's something related to say contracts, because you're like, oh, I'm just writing or reviewing the same documents over and over and over again, and it's a lot of
Correct.
just sitting on a chair and staring at a screen. Not a lot of field work here.
Right. So there are parts of it which are interesting, but then when you get down to the drafting and the paperwork
Yeah,
of it, it becomes a little boring.
yeah.
I get that. So can you bust one myth about corporate lawyers for our participants?
Oh, that we earn a lot. Paisa bhul jao if you're coming to law.
We actually, this was part of the slide where we broke this myth that not all heroes earn good.
Yeah, this is, I don't know, like ये बच्चों को बहुत suits and all देख के everybody is like, you, we'll wear Armani suits and go around in chauffeured cars and work high-powered jobs and whatnot. That's not true. You don't do any of that. I would say, in fact, there's another myth that cockiness gets you places. You don't go to places with being a closer. You don't go to places if you're Harvey Specter. If you're Harvey Specter, you walk into a room, within the first 5 minutes, the client chucks you out because they,
Yeah.
they, they cannot stand you. Like a lot of law is actually bowing down. Even if you go to court, it's always, yes, your lordship, whatever you say, your lordship, please, your lordship. If you're coming to, if you're working with businesses, see, because you're always the diplomatic smart hand, right? So you always have to make sure that how law is a lawyer is always a corporate lawyer is always seen as a cost center and
Hmm.
a hindrance to business. Everybody in your business hates you because your staple is no, because you're always putting obstacles in their path. You're just making things more complicated for them, so everybody
Right.
hates you. So you get nowhere by being cocky or by being, extra this or that. You always have to be extra gentle and, very diplomatic, very tactful about how to go about things. So I think that is one
But
of the biggest myths. And yeah, money, yeah, come on, nobody pays.
so, just wanted to ask you, who was your favorite character in Suits?
I hate suits. Please
Okay.
don't. Maybe Jessica to an extent because she's a high powered corporate lady, but oh god, suits, awful, awful show, awful show. If anybody does want to see a more realistic representation of law, The Good Wife is uh, still
The
to an
good.
extent, The Good Wife, yes, it is still to an extent very accurate. I think one of the most accurate things about these shows is just how all consuming law is for you. So we all hear about toxic work cultures and spending so much time in the office and slogging at the office. I think that's a very corporate driven narrative. You have no idea how bad it is in law. As an
Hmm.
industry, the legal industry is still very, very, very orthodox. You still have that I'm a senior, how dare you look me in the eyes,
Hmm.
attitude in the industry. So because of corporate law, we're still changing. Okay, we call our colleagues by names, but traditionally, if you go to traditional law firms, you go to you go into litigation. It's always, sir, ma'am, yes, sir. You look down when you talk to them. You don't talk back to them. You don't give them suggestions, and you're expected to really, really just work 25 hours out of 24 hours. I have no other this is not an exaggeration. I do work in the corporate sector. I've seen corporate employees, I've seen startup employees, and I've seen, that quote unquote toxic work culture that is very popular now. And law is worse. The
Okay.
legal field is extremely worse. So when I was nearing graduation, this lawyer reached out to me and he asked me if anybody in my law school is, looking for a job. And I'll tell you what his terms were. See, he wanted a guy because his practice was litigation. And I mean, let's not question the sexism here, but his idea was that he wanted a guy because he wanted somebody जो सुबह से शाम तक कोर्ट के चक्कर लगा सके, who can go travel freely, who can stay in late if required, and that person would be required to work Monday to Saturday. Saturday is to given. Saturday is like 100%. There's no Monday to Friday anywhere. Monday to Saturday is given, and whatever you say Monday to Saturday, that means Sunday also. So Monday to Saturday is to given. Subah subah 8 a.m. he has to be in office to collect files and all. 10 o'clock court start 10:30 till 4:30 codes go, and then you come back to office and finish or prepare your drafts and whatever. So 6 days a week, a fully qualified lawyer who spent 5 years in his practice has obtained a bar license, and what was he willing to offer? Maximum 10,000 rupees a month.
Hmm.
So this is the kind of culture. My best friend works at a tier 1 law firm, and she stays back every day. She's in office till 1 2 a.m. and she's back again at 9 a.m. the next day. So this is what is expected out of you, and this is what's very common. If you don't do it, they ask you to they're like, okay, that's the door, please leave. This is a very common expectation. So if you want to enter the legal field, then this is one reality that you have to really you know
Okay.
yeah, accept. And you're going to be treated like shit. You're going to be told that you're a disappointment, you're going to be abused, you're going to be battered and wrung out like anything. And it's not even in a, I mean, it's just the reality. It's not something that you can fight against, because the community is so tight knit. If you speak against somebody, you're just going to be ostracized from the entire community. So you just have to put up with it. That's the dark
Right.
side of it.
Just wanted to ask this. Still, I mean, if keeping apart all the B side of the coin, what is what is that one factor that is still keeping you in this field?
um the high of knowing that I'm one of the very few people in the world who do what I do. I think that the reason why I veered towards this kind of a career trajectory is because it's very, very unconventional. So if you do something unconventional, there are two sides to it. Yes, you're the only person who does it, but there are also not a lot of demand for it. Okay.
Correct.
So that's there. But yeah, I like to do it because that out of those 6 months of being battered and wrung, when you have that one moment of figuring out a loophole, that high is addictive.
Okay.
And I just enjoy sometimes being the obstacle, watching people's face fall when I tell them, oh, this can't be done, and why was I not asked, why is my approval is required here. So that's a sadistic pleasure that I sometimes draw out of life. But
What I can
fairly,
visualize.
I actually know a lot of people, in fact a hell lot of people who leave. To up till now, I know good 10, 20, 30% of my law school classmates who've either left law entirely or are like not practicing. And I think as we grow, the number is going to get larger. I know people from top law universities who like sat grueling exams, scored top tier ranks, studied law from top law colleges, and then right after they graduated started their cafes and restaurants, and they were like, nahi, ye nahi hoga.
But I mean, as far as I can visualize, in an office setting where you are a lawyer, I feel like you would have that feeling of the smartest person in the room. कि यार तुम अपना cognition side रखो. I know what the right thing is.
See, that's debatable. I would say वो मेरे अंदर का हार्वी स्पेक्टर बाहर निकल रहा है ये कहने के लिए कि yes, I'm the smartest person in the room, but that's exactly what the room doesn't want to hear or acknowledge, right?
Hmm.
And it is actually, like, jokes apart, from a very realistic standpoint, and this is also something that I learned over my career, and very hardly so, is that you might be the smartest person in the room in knowing the law, but you're
Hmm.
not the smartest person in the room to know कि customers को क्या चाहिए. You
Correct.
might want that from a legal perspective, the moment you open a website इतना बड़ा disclaimer आना चाहिए because the law says आना चाहिए, and you're the smartest person in the room to implement it. Like ऐसे कैसे business चल जाएगा. But the growth guy, the customer acquisition guy, and the BD guy knows कि अगर वो dialog box आ गया तो 50% customers will drop out on the website and they'll not even click proceed, and business will
Hmm.
shut down. So are you really the smartest person in the room if you're telling them to put that dialog box there?
Hmm. Fair.
that is
Uh,
that is the question at the end of the day.
but okay, regardless, I mean, how do you know if this is the right path for you? Like you said, there are a lot of obstacles on the way, but still you're doing it because there is a high. How do you know that you value that high?
Unfortunately, it's trial and error. You have to go through it to know if that's something you want. Take it from me, all through my law school, I wanted to be a core litigation lawyer. I wanted to do proper murder and dacoity and these kind of cases, and that is what I was working towards. I worked some decently high profile criminal cases as well, like in the beginning of my internships and all. So even though at that time everybody used to tell me, you know, this is no field for you, this also has no money, उसमें तो और कम पैसा होता है. So like this is not fruitful, this is very grueling, this is not a space for a woman, whatever. But I was like determined कि नहीं करना है, because that's what I thought, that's what I want to do. And to this date I would be very passionate about criminal law. My ideal scenario is one of my client company CEOs commits murder and hires me or whatever. I was I was amazing at trial advocacy and closing and cross and all that. But it was only after that I got into startup, that I worked with startups, is when I realized, oh, this is an industry that's very different and I fit better here than I do here. So unfortunately, the only short way to know is to try it. But other than that, if you want to get a fair idea, then if you have a good business acumen, if you can, you know, deal with a lot of people at the same time, and you're able to break down law for a layman and sort of, you know, put it into a practical scenario कि अच्छा ठीक है ये तो law है, but this is how we will follow it, this is how we should interpret it, this is how it should be done. If you feel like that is something you could enjoy, or you find you really enjoy documents, you really enjoy preparing, writing, going through, correcting people's mistakes, you're a grammar Nazi, then this is a field that you can explore. But पढ़ाई तो सबकी starting में same ही होती है, but this is then something you can explore.
Okay. So again, question on exploring. So can you recommend some courses that students can start exploring right now? We have students from 8th through 12th. What can
I
they do
think
right?
the most basic thing is forget corporate law, forget criminal law. The first thing that you all should be doing is understanding law, and maybe try to understand it from, everybody must be learning some form of political science or civics or something. Understand what law is from maybe that perspective, and understand the basics of law. First, ये कि क्या law भी समझ आ रहा है, your basic rights, how things are, how things function in the country. So that is the first thing that you should do, really deep dive into, you know, these your civics and political science के courses, and try to relate them with the law in real life. And once you get a good understanding of that, then maybe, you know, you can eventually check out some contracts. Look at a contract and just see from a basic you know, common sense perspective, can you point out some fallacies कि अच्छा ये तो सही नहीं लग रहा है, regardless of whether you know the law or not, ये तो logically sense नहीं कर रहा है, या this can create a problem for one of the signatories. So if maybe that is something that you feel like you can do, you can start exploring that. There are a lot of free courses all over YouTube, there are a lot of free resources. I think law octopus के होंगे, what is this, रामानुजन मुखर्जी का लॉ सीखो के हैं बहुत सारे. Don't enroll, don't give your phone number or anything to that website, they're going to spam you with promotionals. But yeah, that is definitely something you can explore.
Okay. So it's time for a quick Q&A from our students. You guys can raise your hands and then we can take your questions.
I think somebody posted a question in the, oh, so we are talking about Mike Ross being a legal consultant. Actually, that is one of my biggest problems with the show Suits. No person in their sane mind, especially in a country as heavily litigious as the US, would have hired Mike Ross and pretended that he's a lawyer, when there was just a very simple way to hire him as a simple consultant. You could have just said that he's not a lawyer. The most ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा बस वो कोर्ट में represent नहीं कर सकता था ना. He could have still aided in advisory, in consultation, because if anybody does this, they're going to be sued so badly. वो और उनके साथ पुश्ते they would be paying out the fines there.
Correct. Dash, buddy, you had a question? Yeah, video is
Yes.
perfect, yaar.
Hello? What?
Keep your video on.
Oh, okay. My question was, what is the most common mistake businesses make in like law perspective?
The most common mistake businesses make is they don't recognize early on that you need legal help or advisory from the very beginning. It's like, the what is the most common mistake that you with dental problems make? You don't go for your regular dental checkups, you only go when cavity हो गई है, दांत सड़ चुका है, अब तो निकालना ही पड़ेगा. So that is the biggest mistake that businesses make. They come to you when there's already skeletons in the closet, whereas you should not let those skeletons build up in the closet. It's very
So,
difficult to go back, restructure a company, or correct past mistakes when you've already built a business. But it's very easy to make sure that they're not made along the way.
okay. Uh, for the record, I am a victim of that mistake.
Everybody is. The dental one or the lawyer one?
The lawyer one. So we started a company and we did not register it. It was on the name of a solopreneur. Don't want to discuss the details, but yeah, we were at loss at the end of the day and we had nothing in our hand after working for 3-4 months, but whatever.
A lot of
Uh,
people do that. Actually, a lot of people also start businesses with, your friends. You start businesses together, and you're like, ये तो मेरा दोस्त है, ये तो मेरा भाई है, ये तो मेरी girlfriend है, ये तो मेरा boyfriend है. We're gonna be here we're gonna be there together forever. But you don't realize that you need, maybe founders agreement or some kind of legal documentation in place that solidifies your relationship with them and makes sure that adverse situation mein things can be,
hmm.
smoothened out. It's like heading into a marriage without being like, हाँ divorce तो कभी होगा ही नहीं. You always have to be, and from a business perspective, you always have to be prepared. I know an investor, and if she is ever approached by a business that is led by a team, especially if it's a married couple, then the first question she asks them is, what would happen to the business if you separate, or what would happen to the business if you divorce? And most of them don't have an answer to that because
Because
they never considered it कि हाँ हम
they
ऐसा हो भी
never
सकता है.
see that option coming.
Yes,
But
yes,
just
but it
an
happens.
just an advice to all of the people here: avoid starting businesses with your friends. It ruins friendships.
Or at least have some kind of legal documents in place that hold you both responsible, define responsibilities, and talks about a potential exit also. That is a very important thing, and that is something that you do even before you register a company, because that is a founder's thing in between amongst you guys.
Correct. And more than that, I mean, I have learned in this 1 or 2 years जब से startup, वैसे startup तो मैंने करने 5-6 साल से शुरू कर दिए हैं, but हाँ, more or less what I've learned is that there are people who you love to be around, and then there are people who you love to work with. So start your this startup or anything with the people you like to work with, not the people you like to hang out with. Because if you start working with them, things get ruined, and then your comfort zone is all gone.
Yes, very true. Incredibly true. Extremely true. I can't even tell you how true that is.
This is what I have learned. I have stopped making business plans with my friends. I only do it professionally with a few people. So again, Atharva had a question. We'll move back to them.
Yeah, hi. So you were talking about how culture, like work culture in the law field in India is not really great. So how does it compare with country, like with say the US in terms of salaries and work culture?
Oh, it's
Interesting.
the same everywhere. Law as a field is very. So I know a senior advocate, like there's a mentor of mine, and he used to work at a top tier law, an international top tier law firm in Singapore. I think Singapore or UK, I don't remember. And he told me how this top tier law firm, so usually, law firms would hire, say, 60, 70 students at a time, at a batch from straight away from law school. So at the end of a quarter, they used to essentially have each student come up in front of the senior partner and give a presentation on why they shouldn't be fired immediately,
Oh,
like
बाप रे.
justify each and every whatever work or whatever you want to do, but just stand and justify why you shouldn't be fired immediately. And he told me how there would be people crying on the floor that my family was sick, or this was this, or this is that, or I have the potential. But I mean, even look at suits यार, के सारा दिन तो ऑफिस में पड़े रहते हैं वो. This is the kind of expectation that the law as a field is, very labor intensive. You're expected to read a lot, you're expected to produce a lot, and have a lot of billables, because that judges your worth. So across the globe, culture is the same. Salaries, of course, I mean, power purchase parity, but even in India top tier law firms pay you very well, ऐसा नहीं है. But then वही चीज है ना, you're getting paid let's say 2 lakhs 3 lakhs a month. What are you going to do with it if you're spending 20 hours a day in office only and dying of a heart attack by 35? So it's the same thing.
Okay. Do you have a follow-up question, Athar? Or is it a
No,
complete?
just another one.
Go ahead.
Let Dash go first because he had a question from a very long time. Yeah.
I have another question. So, with after COVID, a lot of people started dropshipping businesses. So, in dropshipping, multiple people sell the same products, and they don't like or they don't have a license sometimes. So, if two companies are copying each other, can they sue, or because they don't have a license, they can not sue?
That is actually an excellent question. As a legal principle, you are supposed to approach the court with clean hands. So, if your hands are dirty yourself, in civil court especially, to a huge extent, your remedy in law is gone. So, I would say in law, it's always it depends. So that there might be some small, lacuna or whatever where you can fit in. But largely, yes, if you are doing something illegal, then you can't say कि मैं इसकी चोरी कर रहा हूँ और ये मेरी चोरी कर रहा है तो इसको पकड़ो. That is definitely there. Baki, from a practical perspective, it's very difficult to enforce these kind of licensing and drop shipping copying issues. Most of these products are produced without any license or are actually not even copyright in any way. They're not, so how will you hold कि भाई इसका production से मेरे पास होना चाहिए? Either you have a patent or you have some kind of a legal protection for your design. Then you see somebody is copying it and then you go after them. But if it's a generic thing, then it's free for everybody's use, right? You're getting it produced in cheaper markets or in China, Vietnam, and then you're drop shipping it to it. Cool.
So, I mean, let's say Shubha and me are selling these hand grippers. How do you justify that this hand gripper is like a sort of thing that only Shubha can sell?
Yeah, exactly. So either it would be ki, okay, I have a trademark on my name, Subha. You can't put my name on it. Or I have that particular design that is only associated with my brand. So you
Hmm.
can't use it. But say it's a generic pencil box. This pencil box is sold by everybody in the country. I can't say I'm the sole producer of this because this is unique to me. And if you start selling it to tomorrow, you're free to do it. You sell it
Probably,
cheaper, you make more money,
probably,
you're free to do it.
probably me and her are sourcing it from the same site.
Yeah, yeah,
Reasons sourcing.
absolutely. Absolutely.
We cannot monitor that. Okay, Athal.
But can we ask?
Yeah, sure. 1 second, go ahead. If this is a
Can
follow-up.
we ask the supplier to not supply to the other person?
Yes, you can agree into exclusive arrangements with them, but it depends on them. They say, no, we pay us more money, we'll give you exclusivity. So, exclusivity means they're going to do something exclusively for you. So, you
Hmm.
can ask them. In fact, a lot of I'll give you a I'll give you maybe a makeup brand example. Have you seen those cheap makeup brands that are being sold roadside के ऊपर ऐसे? They are essentially mass produced and then sold to local retailers. हर कोई उस पे अपना लेबल लगा के उसको बेच देता है. Even decently, well known brands, usually what they do, they Mama Earth. Okay, Mama Earth. If you read their IPO papers, they say that we source our products from Chinese or wherever manufacturers, and they just slap their label on it. उनका कोई भी product exclusive नहीं है, which means tomorrow any other company can go to these manufacturers and buy the same products and slap their own label on it and sell it. So but companies like maybe L'Oreal or bigger companies, they have exclusivity with their manufacturers कि you will only produce this for us. And अगर उसके अंदर कोई बहुत specialized चीज आ गई है कि भाई नहीं ये तो develop ही हमारे लिए हुआ है या ये तो design ही हमारे लिए हुआ है, then it is going to be our property only. Depends on the kind of legal arrangement you enter into with them.
Okay.
Atharv,
Yeah.
what do we have?
So, recently with the tariff wars, you know how a lot of companies in China who were manufacturing for big brands like Dior and Hermes or whatever, they have started selling these bags on their own, saying that we'll sell it to you for cheaper because that's what the actual production cost is. So what is the legal perspective on it, considering that all of these brands would probably have trademarks on their designs? So what is the legal perspective? And another question, I heard that you said you're not a fan of Suits, but what are the things that Suits gets right and Suits gets wrong in terms of the legal world? And actually, more what Suits gets right, because most of it must probably be just an over exaggeration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll address your questions one by one. With respect to the tariff wars and the whole, showing of luxury goods and Chinese manufacturers claiming ki we can sell it to you for cheaper. I think Hermes and Dior, or at least some of these brands, are suing a few of those sellers or people who put those videos anyway. I don't know how the legal case has progressed, but they did claim publicly that they're going to be suing those manufacturers. Number one, I honestly don't know how genuine those videos were, because even if there is a legal standing, even if I'm legally clear to do it, if I'm a manufacturer and if I sell my bags to, Hermes or Dior for further selling, if I come on video and I publicly say कि ये सब तो आपको महंगा बेच रहे हैं, लो मुझसे सस्ता ले लो, am I not killing my own business? Am I not ruining my own image in the market? I have like 10, 15 luxury brands that would probably buy from me. And if I'm publicly coming and dissing them, then I feel like I would probably be ruining my business. So, A, I don't know how genuine they were. Number two, with respect to legalities, see, it again comes down to what kind of arrangement they had with those businesses. So, if I only have a trademark on the name Hermes, I did not do anything with the design. I did not enter into an exclusive arrangement with them on the basis of design, or I didn't say, this is my proprietary design. Proprietary means this belongs to me. This is my proprietary design. You will only produce it for me. If I did not do that, and if it's just a simple design or a simple thing that you have done yourself, and all I'm doing is taking it from you. So this is a bottle. You are mass producing this bottle. I buy it. I slap the label of Dior on it. Aman buys it. Aman slaps the label of Nyasa on it, and we both sell it. Now, I cannot stop you from selling it to other people because this is a very generic bottle that you're producing. I will only have legal standing if Aman tomorrow slaps a Dior label on it and starts selling it, because I own the Dior title, not the design of this bottle. So it really depends on कि जो bags या जो luxury goods they were showing, उसका design कितना proprietary था, कितना ज़्यादा it belonged to the brand and was not just mass produced. That depends. But then once again, I think this is under litigation. They did say that they're going to sue. But then China ke andar it's very difficult to. So that's the thing. This is also another thing why so yes, law is a very interesting field at the end of this, and if you derive that pleasure from discovering new things, and you're like, "It ठीक है यार, हो जाता है," you can find that balance. Even if legally speaking, it might be wrong in India to do it. I am an Indian citizen and मेरे brand के साथ कुछ गलत हो रहा है. But if a Chinese person is doing it and it's not illegal in China to do it, then there's very little that I can go about it. I think if all of you are going to be too young to know this also, but if any of you are familiar with torrent sites or torrenting or pirating videos and movies and TV shows and all that, so Pirate Bay used to be a huge
Oh,
torrenting and all website, and there were these, I think Sony या किसी बहुत बड़े US film distributors ने उनको legal notice भेजा था कि you're pirating our media and whatever, and we're going to sue you plana whatever. And they essentially responded with, we are based out of Sweden, we have no connection to the US, what we're doing is legal in Sweden, so do whatever you want. So that extra thing that also comes into picture, that my right is being violated, but this is a right that my country is giving me. It is being violated by somebody sitting in a different country where he is not doing anything wrong. So how do you go about it?
and Pirate Bay is still operating, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So I had one question. Okay, but we'll take Pranav first because it's
No, I think, wait, I didn't answer the second part of Athar's question. What Suits gets right?
Okay.
So the long working hours, the complete dedication that you require to give to law, a lot of times the quickness that you need, especially when it comes to something like corporate law, you have to be very, very quick on your feet. If it comes to closing big deals, closing a lot of mergers, investments. And I think another thing Suits gets right is that litigation, yes, litigation is a lot of law, and there's a lot of law, but corporate law के अंदर there's a जितना law होता है ना उतना ही people management होता है. So you can do a lot with just convincing somebody, being tactful, making somebody happy कि अच्छा ठीक है चलो ये कर दो, we'll do this, we'll do that. So that people management part of him bringing tickets for his clients and making sure they're always happy, high powered dinners and all, that is something that Suits gets right.
Okay. Pranav, you had a question.
Yeah, hi. Nice to meet you.
Hi,
I
nice to
heard
meet
of,
you too.
yeah, I heard all the points you mentioned. My question is related to AI on how AI lawyers I've seen some in US where they use AI to either help lawyers or they completely replace the lawyer and use an AI to like represent a client in court. So I mean, how like so it's a two-part question only related to this part. So first of all, it's like how long, like how fast could it replace lawyers, I guess, and like how it's effective, like how could lawyers use this and use it effectively. I hope it makes sense.
So, yes, whether it can actually replace lawyers entirely is, I would say, a debatable question. It's like saying, will AI replace human workforce in general? It's the same as essentially arguing that. So, I would say no, AI will never replace lawyers, because law of all things, a code you can, in fact one of my clients almost did say the same thing, that you need to use more AI is going to replace you, this and that, our entire code is written by AI. So from my perspective, and I might be wrong here entirely, I'm pretty sure there are contrary views, and there's a chance that I'd say sometime down the future I'm proven wrong, but from my perspective, things like code are things that are logical deduction. You can um, feed, or you can have a chat box or an AI system generate code because it understands how the product has to work or how the website has to work or whatever and function. Law involves a lot of human uh, factor in it, because you have to deal with fellow humans and you have to deal with humans. So especially when it comes to representing clients in court. See, when it comes to criminal cases, for example, let's say you're defending somebody who's done a murder, very simple example, simplest at its core, right? Most of the time, you don't actually go to prove कि इसने murder, मतलब इसने कुछ भी नहीं किया है. If the police has arrested him, that there is fingerprints, this person, or was caught red-handed or whatever, even if it's somebody who the police witnessed killing somebody else, they will still be entitled to a defense, right? So unka defense lawyer is not going to stand there and tell the court कि इसने तो कुछ नहीं किया, मेरा client तो innocent है. You always negotiate a way out of it. Always like, अच्छा murder नहीं है, culpable homicide है, अच्छा culpable homicide नहीं है, wrongful death है. So, and you try to bring in the human element ki, oh, this person was provoked, oh, this person has a history of mental illness, oh, this person was abused as a child, so punishment light honi chahiye, ye hona chahiye, wo hona chahiye. So I feel like law has a lot of human element there, which you can't algorithmize. You can't give a yes or no answer or a black and white ki, yeah, if this then this happens, if this then this happens, whereas AI is simple, if this then this, if this then that. I mean, it's an algorithm at the end of the day, right? So I feel like AI will never replace lawyers, especially because, so this is litigation. I'll give you a corporate lawyer example. It sometimes takes us up I mean 3 4 follow-up calls just to understand a product, jahan pe the client is just talking for hours and hours and hours, and there's just so much questioning that you have to do to get that information out of the client. Koi banda usko baith ke AI ko feed hi nahi kar sakta from a practical perspective. That is the biggest human thing in this transaction. Getting information out of somebody, understanding it. AI के अंदर तो you have to input that information, or you'll never be able to do it to the extent where a lawyer can get it out of you.
Like,
Baki, yes, of course, AI is a helping, it's an aid. It can definitely help you. The kind of contract. So it's the same as when internet came. Usse pehle, whenever there was a legal research, we had to defer to huge books. You would have seen, mere bookshelf mein there is not a single law book. There's just a couple from my law school. Otherwise, there's not a single law book. I don't like to have them. But if you go to old lawyer offices and firms, उनकी ऐसे shelves भरे हुए books होते हैं, because that is the only way they could look at judgments. But then now you have the internet, I can just Google a judgment. When it comes to AI, I will maybe, instead of it taking me hours to draft one document, I will be able to, based on existing templates, customize it easier. So in that essence, AI will reduce my,
manual effort.
yeah, it's going to help me be a better lawyer. And maybe interns ka, thoda sa workforce reduce ho jayega. And yes, there will be a general reduction, because I will be able to have I will have the productivity of 3 lawyers at the end of the day. But that's it. I don't think it'll completely push out the industry.
Hmm. Makes sense. So I had a question. So, for example, whenever you look at one particular law or an act or whatever, at the end of the day, you still in your cognition feel like, okay, it was more or less logical, and this is what ideally should happen as a basic human, mindset. Is there one particular act or law that you have in your mind which you think is not logical? Like, ये क्यों बनाया है? Kind of stuff.
I remember thinking and feeling this way a lot of times, but abhi I can't think of any specific examples. I mean, also, yeah, I am very passionate. I'm a defender of law. तो अगर मैं कोई चीज criticize करती हूँ, तो there's an inherent part of me that's like, नहीं, ये कुछ सोच के ही किया होगा, कुछ सोच के ही बनाया होगा, ऐसा तो नहीं है. But I don't know if people are aware, but if technically speaking, if you're giving a lift to somebody in your car, or if you're essentially, yeah, it's illegal. If a traffic police person stops you and turns out that there are 2 people in a car, you're the driver, and there's somebody else with you who is unrelated to you per se, then technically speaking, you can be questioned. And the logic behind it is ki, commercialized vehicles require a special license, right? So if you're giving a lift to somebody, there could be a presumption कि आप उनसे some or the other way में पैसे ले रहे हो. So you're commercializing it, but अगर आपने commercial plates नहीं लगा रखी, तो you're not paying the tax and you're not licensed that way.
But can't I just give it out of compassion कि भाई ये धूप में चल रहा है, let's give
हाँ,
it.
मतलब है, but I'm just telling you the legal logic behind it कि then you have to prove ना कि देखो मैंने पैसे नहीं लिए हैं इससे, this is genuinely
Correct.
a humanitarian thing, या मेरा दोस्त है या whatever. But that is the thing कि you can be stopped, you can be questioned. There is a question in law that you can be done that way.
Okay.
So there are a lot of obsolete laws as well. Kite flying to beyond a certain height is illegal because of I think the Flying Objects Act or something. Cheating is also legislatively illegal. Cheating in exams, not like cheating somebody वैसे, but cheating in exams is
Not bad.
legislatively legal under certain sections. So yeah, there are a lot of weird laws.
Okay. We'll take a last question from Darshit and then we'll conclude the session.
My question is a little out of context, but a few months ago I saw this documentary on Netflix, and it was Pepsi Where's My Jet. So it was based on a person, and there was an ad run back in the 90s. It was about if you collect or like buy enough Pepsi, you get points, and from that points, eventually you can buy a jet. And there was no fine print, and there was nothing related to it. But that person never ended up getting the jet, and they went to court and they battled it out. And he spent a lot of money on it. So why didn't he get the jet?
So I'm not aware of the specifics of the case, but I think that there was in fact a similar case in Philippines, some Southeast Asian country where Pepsi or Coca-Cola, somebody ran this kind of a campaign where you could exchange points for some, I don't know, maybe money, maybe monetary goods or something. And at the end of the day, they refused to honor it and it dragged out into a legal battle. And there were a lot of people involved. The situation actually derailed quite a bit. So, सी there are two things to it. एक होता है law, एक होता है आप उसको कैसे implement कर रहे हो and what are you getting out of it from a practical perspective. Companies like Pepsi and Coca-Cola, they are so huge and they have such resources. Like a lot of them are even bigger than smaller countries' ka GDP. They can buy out countries. So the sheer thing is that if you as an individual wage a battle against a large corporation, they can drown you in paperwork. They can just drown you in dragging out the legal battle itna bada ki you just don't have the resources to continue anymore. So from a practical perspective 20 साल से लड़ लड़ के इंसान थक ही जाएगा ना. कितने, how much are you able to afford, how much you cannot maybe afford one single lawyer, or you'll afford a very middle tier lawyer. कोका कोला की बड़ी टीम बैठी हुई है वहां पे जिसका basic purpose is to drown you out. So, from a practical perspective, a lot of cases, a lot of genuine cases do get stifled out this way because one party has, you know, one party is heavy on the other. As much as we hate it, look at the criminal cases that are around us. We have some very famous examples that are around us as well, where everybody, see, when you walk into a court, 90% of the time, judge को भी पता है क्या है, दोनों parties को भी पता है कि at the end of the day क्या है. But if you're not able to prove it in court because evidence was destroyed, because you don't know the right court procedure, because आपको 20 साल से date ही मिलती जा रही है, so even if justice should be in your favor from a practical perspective, you will not be able to get it. And there is also this, especially in the US, and I don't think there's a lot of precedence in India about it. But there's also this principle of to an extent, I think some kind of ludicrous advertisement कि जैसे मैंने कोई ad डाली है या मैंने कुछ डाला है which is obvious to the सामने वाला person कि ये तो नहीं हो सकता ना. Like Red Bull gives you wings, or I tell you कि buy
Oh,
this bottle will make you a part of the Ambani family. Now you as a viewer with common sense can tell कि this is just an exaggeration and advertisement. It is not really true. तो उसमें यू कांट गो टू कोर्ट एंड सू मी कि इसने तो एड ने बोला कि ये खरीदो तो अंबानी के घर में शादी हो जाएगी और मेरी नहीं हुई तो होल्ड देम फॉर ब्रीच ऑफ promise. You can't do that. So there's also a principle around that. Maybe in that particular case, the court held ki the way that campaign was presented, because I'm not aware of the specifics, I just have to speculate, ki it was very obvious ki jet nahi milega.
Yeah, but the person who like collected the tokens, he had help from his friend, and he was also a millionaire or someone. So they could afford
Oh.
multiple lawyers, and
Then
they
there must
fought it
be
out
some
for
kind
a long time. And Pepsi even offered them to like do something outside the court, and they offered them money to stop the case, but nothing happened, and they lost and didn't get any money.
then I would have to look into the specifics of why the judgment came about and then get back to you, because I don't know about that case.
Thank you.
Okay, but well, I had a concluding story. So we began this conversation with our students that it's a common fact that nobody reads the terms and conditions of any particular app that you download, and you just click on I agree. So there was one such incident which just saw on YouTube a few days back, wherein there was this pizzeria, I won't take the name, that pizzeria had this campaign on 1st of April that if you tattoo the name of the pizzeria on your what do you call it, scalp, they would basically kind of give you some sort of money. So this guy shaved his head and tattooed something on his scalp. And then he later realized that if you would have gone to the site further on, you would notice in the terms and conditions that this was an April Fool joke. So, concluding this session with one note that please read those terms and conditions. And thank you so much, Subha ma'am, for joining us today and taking out your time and answering our questions. It was a lovely time with you. I hope you
Thank
had the
you so
same.
much. Yes, absolutely. I had a lot of fun. Thank you so much for inviting me. Happy to take any other questions of this platform. Anybody who wants to reach out, happy to answer questions anytime.
Cool. So you guys can reach out to her on LinkedIn and परेशान करते रहो, कोई दिक्कत
मुझे follow करते रहो, मेरी following बढ़ाते रहो, and then you can reach out to me. That's fine.
Perfect. So in the chat box, there's a link which I would love for you to just, join. Sorry, there's a form which I would love for you to fill. And again, thank you so much, Subha ma'am, for joining us today. Hope you guys had fun. Hope you had fun. And I guess I'll see you in the next test drive, or perhaps someone else. I don't know.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you,
Bye bye.
Subha.
Thank you,
Just by
Subha.
the way, the form was for the students and not you.
Yeah, not you.
Yeah, I figured that. I figured that.
Great. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye.
All right, great. Bye bye.